The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest building ever made by any species in the known universe. It floated in the empty space between 3 star systems. The walls were made of living crystal that changed colors based on the mood of whoever was speaking. Right now, those crystals were dark red. The color of War. High Speaker Torvak stood at the center of the chamber. He was tall, even for his species. His gray skin was covered in old battle scars. His 4 yellow eyes looked out at the representatives from 47 different alien civilizations. Each one had traveled across the stars to be here today. Each one knew that history was about to be made. Torvak raised his long arms toward the ceiling. The chamber fell silent. Even the air seemed to stop moving. For 10,000 years, Torvak began, his voice deep and powerful. This council has kept peace among the stars. We have rules. We have order. We have a system that works. Every species knows their place. Every civilization understands the way things must be. He paused and let his words sink in. The representatives nodded their heads, or tentacles, or whatever body parts they used to show agreement. But now, Torvik continued, we face a problem. A young species. A foolish species. They call themselves humanity, and they come from a small blue planet called Earth. Whispers spread through the chamber. Everyone had heard of the humans. They had only been in space for about 300 years. That was nothing. Most species here had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Some had been doing it for millions. These humans, Torvik said, have broken our laws. They have expanded their territory without asking permission. They have developed weapons beyond what their level allows. And worst of all, they have refused to show proper respect to this council. The crystals on the walls turned darker, almost black. I have sent them 17 formal warnings. 17. And do you know what they did? Torvak's voice grew louder. They sent back a message saying they were too busy to respond properly. They asked if we could send an email instead of using the formal communication channel. They do not understand how serious this is. Ambassador Bora Kim sat in the far corner of the Great Hall. Her chair was the smallest one in the room. It was placed behind a pillar so that she could barely see the main stage. This was done on purpose. The council wanted humans to know they were not important. Bora was 34 years old. She had short black hair and wore simple clothes. Nothing fancy. While Torvak gave his big speech, she was looking at her tablet. She was reading the news from Earth. The Seoul baseball team had won their game last night. Her mother had sent her a recipe for kimchi soup. Her friend Mina wanted to know if she was coming home for the holidays. She was only half listening to Torvak. The high speaker reached into his robes and pulled out an ancient scroll. It was made from the skin of some creature that had died long ago. This scroll had been used to declare war exactly 231 times in galactic history. Every time it was used, the target species had been completely destroyed or forced to surrender. By the power given to me by this council, Torvik announced, I hereby declare total and complete war upon the human species, upon their homeworld of Earth, upon every colony they have built, upon every ship they have made. The chamber erupted in noise. Representatives cheered. Some banged their appendages on their desks. The crystals on the walls flashed bright red and orange. Torvik raised the scroll high above his head. The combined military forces of 47 civilizations will descend upon humanity. They will learn what happens to those who disrespect the Galactic Council. They have 7 solar cycles to surrender. If they do not, their entire species will be erased from existence. Every eye in the chamber turned to look at the human ambassador. Bora looked up from her tablet. She had heard her species mentioned. She noticed everyone was staring at her. The room had gone quiet again. Sorry, she said. Could you repeat that last part? I was reading something. Torvak's 4 eyes blinked in confusion. I said, "We have declared war on humanity. Total war. The kind where we destroy everything." "Oh," Bora said. She nodded slowly. Okay. There was a long silence. Torvak waited for screaming. He waited for crying. He waited for the human to fall to her knees and beg for mercy. That was what every other species had done when faced with this moment. Bora just looked at him calmly. "Do you understand what this means?" Torvak asked. 47 civilizations. Millions of warships. Weapons that can crack planets in half. All of this will be aimed at your tiny world. Bora tilted her head slightly. "Yeah, I got it. War. Big fleet. Very scary." She looked back at her tablet and typed something. "I just sent a message to my supervisor. His name is Tay. He handles the important stuff. He will probably forward this to the Defense Department." "The Defense Department?" Torvak repeated. "Yes, they deal with military things. I just handle trade agreements and visa applications. War is not really my area." She looked at the time on her tablet. "Is there anything else?" "I have a meeting in about 2 hours. Something about farming rights on one of our colony worlds. Very boring, but I promised I would be there." Torvak did not know what to say. In his 200 years of life, he had never seen anything like this. He had announced the death of an entire species, and their representative was worried about a meeting. "You are not afraid?" He finally asked. Bora thought about it for a moment. "Should I be? I mean, you guys are really far away. It will take your ships a while to get to Earth, right? That gives us time to figure things out." 3 solar cycles, Torvak said. "Our fastest ships can reach your world in 3 solar cycles. 3 days?" Bora did some quick math in her head. "That is not too bad. Our Defense Department has handled worse on shorter notice. There was this one time when a meteor was heading toward Earth, and they only had 6 hours. They blew it up. Made a really nice light show. I watched it from my apartment." The other representatives in the chamber started whispering to each other. This was not normal behavior. When you tell someone you are going to kill everyone they love, they are supposed to react. They are supposed to show fear. This human was acting like Torvak had told her about a minor change in shipping regulations. "Perhaps," said Admiral Dax, stepping forward from the military section, "she does not believe us. Perhaps she thinks this is a bluff." Bora shrugged. "No, I believe you. You seem very serious. Those crystals on the wall are doing angry colors. The scroll thing looks old and important. I'm sure you mean what you say. Then why are you so calm?" Dax demanded. Bora put her tablet away and stood up. She was short compared to most of the aliens in the room, but she did not seem small. There was something in her eyes. Something that the aliens could not quite understand. "I am calm because I am not worried," she said simply. "Earth has been through a lot. We have had wars with each other for thousands of years. We have survived diseases that killed millions. We have survived ice ages and natural disasters. Every time someone said humanity was finished, we proved them wrong." She started walking toward the exit. "Wait," Torvak called out. "You cannot just leave. We have declared war on you. There are procedures, formal responses." I must go to my meeting," Bora interrupted politely. "Like I said, I sent a message to my supervisor. He will contact the right people. Someone important will probably call you back within a day or 2. Maybe 3. We have a holiday coming up, so government offices might be slow." And with that, Ambassador Bora Kim walked out of the Great Hall. Behind her, the most powerful beings in the galaxy stood in stunned silence. The war against humanity had officially begun, and the humans did not seem to care at all. 3 days passed after the declaration of war. High Speaker Torvak sat in his private chamber, surrounded by screens and reports. He had not slept since the announcement. He had expected many things to happen by now. He had expected human leaders to send desperate messages begging for peace. He had expected to see evacuation ships fleeing Earth. He had expected fear and chaos and panic. None of that had happened. His assistant, a small creature named Petra, entered the room with more reports. Her 3 legs clicked against the metal floor as she walked. "High Speaker," she said nervously, "I have the latest intelligence from Earth." Torvak grabbed the reports from her hands. His 4 eyes scanned the information quickly. Then he read it again. Then a 3rd time. He could not believe what he was seeing. "This must be wrong," he said. "Check your sources again." "We have checked 17 times, High Speaker. The information is correct." Torvak threw the reports on the floor. "You are telling me that the humans have done nothing? Nothing at all?" Petra nodded. "They've continued their normal activities. Our spies report that people are going to work. Children are going to school. Something called shopping malls are full of people buying things. There is no sign of military preparation that we can detect." "Show me proof," Torvak demanded. "I want to see what is happening on their planet." Petra activated a holographic display in the center of the room. It showed a recording from one of their spy satellites orbiting Earth. The image showed a large human city. Buildings reached toward the sky. Flying vehicles moved between them. On the streets below, humans walked around carrying bags and talking to each other. Some were eating food from small shops. Others were sitting in parks, enjoying the sunlight. It looked like a completely normal day. "Zoom in on that area," Torvak said, pointing at a crowd of humans. The image grew larger. Torvak could see individual faces now. Some humans were laughing. Some were looking at their small handheld devices. 2 young humans were holding hands and looking at each other with affection. "They look happy," Torvak said quietly. "We have promised to destroy their entire civilization, and they look happy." "There is more, High Speaker," Petra said. She changed the display to show a recording of a human news broadcast. A human male appeared on screen. He was sitting behind a desk, wearing formal clothes. His name, according to the text on screen, was Hyan Park. "Good evening," Hyan said with a pleasant smile. "Our top story tonight. Famous actress Mina Kao announced her divorce from pop star Jun Lee today. The couple had been married for 3 years. According to sources close to the family, the separation is amicable and they wish each other well." Torvak watched with growing disbelief as the human talked about celebrity gossip for several minutes. "In galactic news," Hyan continued, his tone unchanged, "the Galactic Council officially declared war on Earth 3 days ago. Defense Secretary GLE released a short statement saying that the government is aware of the situation and will respond appropriately." Moving on to sports, the World Cup soccer tournament continues with exciting matches this week. The news program then spent 10 minutes discussing something called soccer. Humans kicking a ball around a field. This seemed to be very important to them. Torvak turned off the display. His hands were shaking. Not from fear, from confusion. "They put the war after celebrity news," he said slowly. "They spend more time talking about a ball game than about the end of their species." "Perhaps they do not have good information," Petra suggested. "Perhaps their leaders are hiding the truth from the common people." "No," Torvak shook his head. "The humans have something called the Internet. It is a network that connects all their information systems. Any human can access any news they want. They know about the war. They simply do not seem to care." Admiral Dax entered the chamber without knocking. He was a large creature with thick blue armor instead of skin. He had led the Council's military forces for over a century. He had conquered dozens of worlds. He had never lost a battle. "Aye, Speaker," Dax said. "The fleet is almost ready. Another 2 days, and we will begin the journey to Earth." "Good," Torvik replied. "Perhaps when they see our ships in their sky, they will finally understand the danger they face." Dax made a sound that might have been a laugh. "These humans are either very brave or very stupid. My soldiers are eager to teach them the difference." "What do you know about human military capabilities?" Torvik asked. Dax waved a dismissive hand. "Very little worth worrying about. They have been in space for only 300 years. Their ships are slow. Their weapons are primitive. Our analysts estimate that their entire fleet could be destroyed in less than 1 rotation of their planet. And their ground forces? Even less impressive. Humans are soft creatures. They die easily. They need to breathe a specific mixture of gases. They need to eat and drink constantly. They feel pain when you hurt them. They are not built for war." Torvik was not so sure. He had seen the look in Ambassador Borakim's eyes. There was something there that bothered him. Something he could not name. "I want more information about human history," he said. "Specifically, I want to know how they fight wars." Petra looked surprised. "You want to study their primitive conflicts? Humans fighting other humans?" "Yes. If we are going to destroy them, I want to understand them first." Petra bowed and left to gather the information. Dax stayed behind. "With respect, High Speaker, this is a waste of time. Humans have never faced an enemy like us. Whatever wars they fought among themselves, it does not matter. We have weapons that can destroy stars. We have shields that can stop any attack. We have been conquering worlds since before humans learned to make fire." "Probably," Torvik agreed. "But there is something strange about these creatures. Something I do not understand. They should be afraid, but they are not." "Why?" Dax shrugged his massive shoulders. "Perhaps they are simply too stupid to know better. I have seen this before. Some species cannot process the idea of extinction. Their minds refuse to accept it. So they continue with their normal lives until the very end." "Maybe," Torvik said. "Or maybe there is something else going on. Something we cannot see." Later that night, Petra returned with the information Torvik had requested. She brought hundreds of files about human history. Wars they had fought. Weapons they had used. Strategies they had developed. Torvik started reading. He learned about something called World War I. Millions of humans had died fighting each other over land and power. They had used chemical weapons to poison each other. They had invented flying machines just to drop bombs on each other. They had dug holes in the ground and fought for years over tiny pieces of dirt. Then he learned about World War II. It was worse. Much worse. Humans had split atoms to create weapons so powerful they could destroy entire cities in seconds. They had burned millions of their own kind in ovens. They had fought across every continent on their planet. Torvik read about smaller wars. Korea, Vietnam, the Middle East. Wars that seemed to have no end. Wars where humans developed new and creative ways to kill each other. He learned about something called guerrilla warfare. This was when a small group of humans would hide among the normal population and attack a larger enemy. They would strike from the shadows, then disappear. They would destroy supplies and equipment. They would make it impossible for their enemies to feel safe. Torvik also learned about human scientists. During their wars, humans would race to develop better weapons, better vehicles, better medicines. They would work around the clock, sometimes creating in months what would take other species decades. By morning, Torvik had read only a small portion of the files, but he had learned enough to feel something new. It was not quite fear, but it was close. He called Admiral Dax to his chamber. "I want you to increase the size of the invasion fleet," Torvik said. Double it. Dax frowned. Double it? That seems unnecessary. We already have more than enough ships to double it, Torvek repeated. And add more ground troops. I want overwhelming force. I want this war to be over quickly. May I ask what has changed your thinking? Torvek looked at the pile of files on his desk. The history of human violence. The record of a species that had spent most of its existence trying to destroy itself. I have been reading about how humans fight wars, he said quietly. They do not fight the way we do. They do not follow rules. They do not care about honor or tradition. When they want to win, they will do anything. Anything at all. Dax was quiet for a moment. You are worried? I am being careful, Torvek corrected. There is a difference. Now go. Double the fleet. We attack in 2 days. Dax bowed and left. Torvik looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was a small blue planet filled with creatures who smiled while being threatened with extinction. He wondered what they were planning. He wondered if he really wanted to find out. The sky above Earth changed on a Tuesday afternoon. Admiral Dax stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching through the main viewport as 24,000 warships emerged from hyperspace. The fleet stretched across the darkness like a metal ocean. Each ship was armed with weapons that could melt continents. Each one carried soldiers trained to kill any living thing. This was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Torvak had insisted on it. After reading about human warfare, the High Speaker wanted to end this quickly. No chances. No mistakes. Just overwhelming power. Dax smiled as he looked at the small blue planet floating in front of them. From this distance, it looked peaceful, innocent. He could see white clouds and blue oceans and patches of green and brown land. Somewhere down there, billions of humans were going about their daily lives. Open communications, Dax ordered. Let them hear us. His communications officer obeyed. A moment later, the message was broadcasting across every frequency. Every human on the planet would hear his words. Attention, people of Earth, Dax announced in a loud, clear voice. This is Admiral Dax of the Galactic Council Fleet. We are here to carry out the sentence declared by High Speaker Torvek. You have exactly 1 rotation of your planet to surrender unconditionally. If you do not surrender, we will begin the systematic destruction of your civilization. Your cities will burn. Your people will die. Your species will be remembered only as a cautionary tale. He waited for a response. His crew watched their screens, expecting to see panic spreading across the planet below. Emergency broadcasts. Military alerts. Something. Instead, something small appeared on their sensors. Admiral, said one of his officers, we are detecting a single vessel approaching our position. Dax looked at the display. It was indeed a single ship. A tiny thing barely larger than a personal transport. It was moving slowly toward the massive fleet. Is it armed? Dax asked. No, sir. We detect no weapons of any kind. It appears to be a civilian traffic control vessel. Dax laughed. The sound echoed across the bridge. They send a traffic controller to meet us? This is even more amusing than I expected. Let them come. Perhaps they want to surrender early. The small ship stopped a safe distance from the fleet. A voice came through the communication system. Galactic Fleet, this is Captain Sujin of Earth Orbital Traffic Control. You are currently in a restricted zone. Please move to the designated visitor coordinates or state the purpose of your visit. Dax leaned forward in his command chair. Little human, are you making a joke? I am Admiral Dax. I command 24,000 warships. We are here to conquer your world. Oh, right. The war thing. Captain Sujin did not sound worried. She sounded like someone checking items off a list. Hold on, Let me transfer you to the appropriate department." Before Dax could respond, music started playing through his communication system. It was strange music, soft, calm, the kind of music you might hear in a place where people wait for appointments. "What is this?" Dax growled. "Sir," his communications officer said, looking confused, "they have placed us on hold." "On hold? What does that mean?" "It means they are making us wait while they connect us to someone else." Dax stared at his officer. He had conquered 17 worlds. He had destroyed entire civilizations. No one had ever put him on hold before. The music continued. It was actually quite pleasant, in a strange way. Some of his crew members started tapping their limbs to the rhythm. "Turn that off," Dax shouted. "I cannot, sir. They have locked our communication frequency. We can either listen to the music or disconnect entirely." So they waited. The most powerful military force in the galaxy, floating in space, listening to soft human music. Minutes passed. Then more minutes. Dax felt his anger growing with each passing moment. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a new voice came through. "Hello? Is this the alien invasion fleet?" Dax gripped his command chair so hard that the metal bent under his fingers. "This is Admiral Dax. Who am I speaking with?" "This is Admiral Nari Moon of the United Earth Defense Force. Sorry about the wait. We are a bit busy today." "Busy?" Dax could not believe what he was hearing. "We are about to destroy your planet. What could possibly be more important?" "Well, the World Cup final is happening right now. Korea versus Brazil. Really exciting match. We are all watching it in the command center." There was a pause. Dax heard cheering in the background. Human voices celebrating something. "Are you watching a sports game while we threaten your existence?" Dax asked slowly. "It is a really important game," Admiral Nari explained. "We've been waiting 4 years for this tournament. Look, can you give us maybe 3 hours? The match should be done by then, and we can focus on the whole invasion thing." 3 hours? You want us to wait 3 hours? Or you could start without us, I guess. Your choice. But fair warning, Admiral. You might want to look up what happened to the Vorthan Empire before you make any big decisions. The name hit Dax like a physical blow. The Vorthan Empire. He had not thought about them in decades. They had been a powerful species once. Warriors, conquerors. Then they had encountered humanity, and now they were nothing more than servants. What do you know about the Vorthans? Dax demanded. Just that they also showed up with a big fleet and made threats, Admiral Nari said casually. It did not end well for them. Anyway, I have to go. Halftime is almost over. Good luck with your invasion or whatever. The communication cut off. Dax sat in silence for a long moment. His crew watched him nervously. Admiral? One of them finally asked. What are your orders? Dax thought about the human admiral. The casual tone. The complete lack of fear. It reminded him of something a predator might do. When you see a dangerous animal in the wild, it does not run or scream. It just looks at you calmly, because it knows it is not the one in danger. Find me everything we have on the Vorthan Empire, Dax said. I want to know what happened when they attacked Earth. Right now, sir. We are in position to begin the attack. Now, Dax repeated. Before we do anything else, I want to understand what we are dealing with. While his crew searched for information, Dax watched the small human ship return toward Earth. Captain Su Jin had not even waited for permission to leave. She had just turned around and flown away, like the massive fleet behind her was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. On the planet below, Dax could see lights. Cities coming alive as night spread across one side of the planet. Billions of humans living their lives, watching sports, eating dinner, completely unconcerned about the armada in their sky. His second officer approached with a datapad. "Admiral, I found the records you requested. They are incomplete. Much of the information has been classified or destroyed. Give me what you have." Dax read through the files. The Vorthan Empire had been powerful. Not as powerful as the Galactic Council, but still a force to be respected. 300 years ago, they had discovered Earth. They had declared war, expecting easy victory. Their fleet had been large. Their technology had been advanced. They had been confident. The records from the first few days of the invasion looked normal. Vorthan ships destroyed human orbital stations. Vorthan troops landed on the surface. Initial reports were positive. Then the records became strange. Day 4. Unexpected resistance in urban areas. Enemy using unconventional tactics. Day 5. Supply lines disrupted. Source of attacks unknown. Day 6. Troops reporting psychological difficulties. Enemy appearing and disappearing without explanation. Day 7. Lost contact with main invasion force. Requesting immediate support. After Day 7, there were almost no records at all. Just a brief note that a single Vorthan survivor had returned to the homeworld. He had died from what the medical officers called psychological trauma before he could explain what had happened. 30 days later, the entire Vorthan Empire surrendered to humanity. Today, Vorthans worked in human restaurants. They described themselves as grateful and refused to speak about the war. Dax put down the datapad. His hands were steady, but something cold had settled in his stomach. "Sir?" his second officer asked. "Should we begin the attack?" Dax looked at the planet again. Those lights. Those cities full of creatures who put invading admirals on hold and watch sports while facing extinction. "Not yet," he said quietly. "First, I want to send a message to High Speaker Torvak. He needs to see these records." "Sir, the High Speaker ordered us to begin the attack immediately upon arrival." "I know what he ordered." Dax's voice was hard. "But I did not become an admiral by rushing into situations I do not understand. Something happened to the Vorthans. Something that turned a warrior species into servants. Until I know what that something is, we will hold position." Around the fleet, 24,000 ships waited in the darkness. On the planet below, the World Cup final continued. Korea was winning. High Speaker Torvak received Admiral Dax's message in the middle of the night. He woke up from a restless sleep and read the report about the Vorthan Empire 3 times. Each time, the words made less sense. How could an empire of warriors fall to a species that had only discovered space travel 3 centuries ago? By morning, Torvak had summoned every expert on humanity that the council employed. They gathered in his private chamber, a group of 12 specialists from different species. Each one had spent years studying the strange creatures from Earth. "I want to know everything," Torvak said, his voice tight with frustration. "What happened to the Vorthans? How did humanity defeat them?" The experts looked at each other nervously. None of them wanted to speak first. Finally, an old creature named Doc stepped forward. He had 6 arms and skin like tree bark. He had been studying humans longer than most of the others had been alive. "High Speaker," Doc said carefully, "the complete records of the Vorthan War were destroyed. Much of what we know comes from fragments and rumors. The Vorthans themselves refuse to discuss it. They become physically ill when asked about the conflict. Tell me what you do know." Doc activated a holographic display. It showed a timeline of the Vorthan invasion. The Vorthans arrived at Earth with roughly 200,000 soldiers and 5,000 warships. This was a massive force at the time. They expected to conquer the planet in less than a month. And? Torvak pressed. The first few days went well for them. They destroyed human orbital defenses quickly. Human technology was far inferior. The Vorthons landed troops in several major cities and began establishing control. Doc paused. His expression was troubled. Then things changed. The humans did not fight the way the Vorthons expected. They did not form armies and march into battle. Instead, they became invisible. They hid among their own population. They attacked supply lines. They destroyed equipment. They spread fear. Guerrilla warfare, Torvak said quietly. He remembered reading about this in the human history files. Yes, but more than that. Doc brought up another image. It showed a Vorthon soldier's helmet. There were scratches on the inside, like something had been trying to claw its way out. The Vorthons started experiencing psychological problems. Nightmares, paranoia. Soldiers would wake up screaming about things they had seen. Some refused to fight. Others turned their weapons on themselves. The humans use psychological weapons? We believe so, but we have no proof. What we do know is that humans are masters of something they call psychological warfare. They do not just try to kill their enemies. They try to break their minds first. Another expert, a female named Tella, stepped forward. She specialized in human culture and communication. Hi, speaker. I may be able to add some context. Humans have a very different relationship with war than most species. For them, war is not a noble activity. It is not about honor or rules. It is about winning by any means necessary. All species want to win their wars, Torvak said. Yes, but humans take it further. They have developed entire fields of study around deception, manipulation, and fear. They create false information to confuse their enemies. They use sounds and images to cause terror. They design weapons not just to kill, but to cause maximum psychological damage. Tella brought up an image of a human weapon. It was a small metal object. This is called a landmine. Humans bury these in the ground. When an enemy steps on one, it explodes. But here is the important part. Many of these weapons are designed not to kill, but to wound. A wounded enemy uses up resources. Other soldiers must carry them, feed them, care for them. The screaming of wounded soldiers destroys the morale of those who are still healthy. Torvak felt sick. They design weapons to cause suffering? They design weapons to win, Tilla corrected. For humans, there is no difference. A young expert named Ren spoke up next. He had been quiet until now, just watching and listening. Hi, speaker. There is something else you should understand about humans. Something that might be more important than their weapons or tactics. Speak. Humans adapt faster than any other species we have ever studied. When they face a new threat, they do not give up. They do not surrender. They analyze the threat and find ways to overcome it. Every weapon used against them, they learn to counter. Every tactic, they turn back on their enemies. Ren brought up a series of images showing human technological development. 300 years ago, humans could barely leave their own planet. Now they have colonies across 12 star systems. They have developed faster than light travel, artificial intelligence, and energy weapons that rival our own. They did this in 300 years. Most species take 10,000 years to achieve the same progress. How is that possible? Torvak asked. Competition, Ren explained. Humans compete with each other constantly. Their nations compete. Their companies compete. Their scientists compete. This competition drives innovation at an incredible pace. When humans want to solve a problem, they throw thousands of minds at it simultaneously. The best solutions rise to the top. Doc nodded in agreement. The Vorthons made a critical mistake. They gave the humans time to adapt. The first days of the invasion were successful because humans had never faced an extraterrestrial enemy before. But every day that passed, the humans learned. They studied Vorthon technology. They captured Vorthon weapons and improved them. By the end of the first week, human forces were using modified Vorthan plasma rifles that were more powerful than the originals. Torvik was beginning to understand. So, what you are telling me is that a long war against humanity would be dangerous. A long war against humanity would be catastrophic, Doc said bluntly. Every day we fight them, they become stronger. They learn our tactics. They steal our technology. They find our weaknesses. The Vorthans lasted 12 days before complete collapse. We might last longer because we are more powerful, but the outcome would eventually be the same. Then we must end this quickly, Torvik decided. Overwhelming force. Destroy their planet before they have time to adapt. The experts exchanged worried looks. "High Speaker," Tilla said slowly, "there is one more thing you should know. About what the Vorthans tried." "What?" The Vorthan commander had the same idea. On day 6 of the invasion, he ordered his fleet to bombard Earth from orbit. Complete destruction. No survivors, and the bombardment never happened. The Vorthan fleet was destroyed before a single shot could be fired. Torvik stared at her. Destroyed? How? Human technology was inferior. We do not know. Tilla spread her hands helplessly. The records simply say that the Vorthan fleet experienced catastrophic systems failure and was neutralized. There are no details about how this was accomplished. You are saying humans have a weapon that can destroy an entire fleet? We are saying that 300 years ago, when human technology was far more primitive than it is today, they somehow stopped the Vorthan bombardment. Whatever they used then, they have had 3 centuries to improve it. The room fell silent. Torvik looked at the holographic displays, at the timelines and images and reports. He looked at the faces of his experts, and he saw something he rarely saw in the eyes of his advisors: fear. "Contact Admiral Dax," Torvik said finally. "Tell him to hold position. Do not attack until I give further orders." "High Speaker," one of the experts said, "the Council voted for this war. The other species expect us to act. If we hesitate, we will appear weak." "I would rather appear weak than be dead," Torvik replied. "Send the message, and find me more information about human military capabilities. I want to know exactly what we are facing before we commit our forces." As his experts hurried to obey, Torvik walked to his window. He looked out at the stars, thinking about the small blue planet that had suddenly become the most dangerous place in the galaxy. Somewhere on that planet, humans were living their ordinary lives, going to work, watching sports, eating meals with their families. They acted as if they were not facing the combined might of 47 civilizations, and now Torvik was starting to understand why they were not afraid. Because they had no reason to be afraid. They had been waiting for this moment. They were ready, and that thought terrified him more than anything else. Admiral Dax received the order to hold position, but he was not happy about it. 2 days had passed since the fleet arrived at Earth. 2 days of floating in space, watching the humans below continue their normal lives. His soldiers were becoming restless. They had come here for war, and instead they were doing nothing. "This is ridiculous," Dax muttered to himself on the bridge. "We are the largest fleet in galactic history. We should crush them and be done with it." His second officer approached carefully. "Admiral, perhaps the High Speaker is being wise. The reports about the Vorthans are concerning." "The Vorthans were weak," Dax snapped. "We are not. Our shields are stronger. Our weapons are more powerful. Whatever the humans did 300 years ago will not work against us." He made a decision. He was tired of waiting, tired of being afraid of creatures who put admirals on hold and watched ball games during invasions. "Prepare the main cannons," Dax ordered. "Target their largest cities. We will show them what real power looks like." "Sir, the High Speaker ordered us to wait." The high speaker is not here. I am, and I say we attack. His crew hesitated for a moment, then began following orders. Across the fleet, weapon systems activated. Energy began building in massive cannons designed to turn continents into ash. On the main display, targeting systems highlighted human cities: Seoul, New York, London, Tokyo. Each one contained millions of humans. In moments, they would all be gone. Fire when ready, Dax commanded. The first wave of plasma torpedoes launched from 100 ships. Bright balls of deadly energy screamed through space toward Earth. Each one carried enough power to destroy a small city. Together, they would cause devastation beyond imagination. Dax watched with satisfaction. This was what power looked like. This was how wars were supposed to be fought. Then something strange happened. The torpedoes slowed down. Then they stopped completely, hanging in space like frozen stars. What? Dax leaned forward, staring at the display. What is happening? Why have they stopped? His weapons officer looked panicked. I do not know, sir. There is some kind of field around the planet. Nothing we have ever seen before. Our torpedoes cannot penetrate it. Fire again. More power. Another wave launched. Then another. Thousands of torpedoes flying toward Earth. Every single one stopped at the same invisible barrier. It is not possible, Dax whispered. No technology can stop that much firepower. Before he could issue another order, every screen on his ship flickered. The same thing happened across the entire fleet. 24,000 ships, all displaying the same image. A young human woman appeared. She was sitting in what looked like a simple office. She wore casual clothes, not a military uniform. In her hand was a cup of some dark liquid. Behind her, Dax could see other humans walking around, typing on computers, going about their business. Hey there, the woman said. She smiled warmly, like she was greeting an old friend. So, we noticed you tried to shoot us. That was not very nice. Dax could not speak. He was too shocked. My name is Dr. Yuna Choi, the woman continued. I work in something called the Defense Research Division. Basically, I build things that stop people from hurting us. She took a sip from her cup. That barrier that stopped your torpedoes? I designed that. Took me about 6 years. Pretty cool, right? This is impossible, Dax finally managed to say. No barrier can stop concentrated plasma fire. The physics do not allow it. Your physics do not allow it, Yuna corrected gently. Human physics is a bit more creative. See, we do not just study the universe. We argue with it. We push back. When the universe says something cannot be done, we find ways to do it anyway. She set down her cup and looked directly at the camera. Even through the screen, Dax felt like she was looking into his soul. Now, let us talk about your current situation. I have uploaded a small program to your fleet's navigation systems. Nothing major, really. Just a few lines of code. But here's what it does. The lights on Dax's bridge flickered. First, I have locked out your hyperspace drives. You cannot leave this system until I unlock them. Second, I have disabled your weapons. Every gun, every torpedo, every missile. They are all offline now. Third, and this is the important one, I have taken control of your life support systems. Gasps echoed across the bridge. Officers looked at their stations with terror. Now, do not panic, Yuna said reassuringly. I have not turned anything off. You can still breathe. Your ships are still warm, but I can change that at any time. One command from me, and 24,000 ships become 24,000 tombs. She let that sink in for a moment. I do not want to do that, she continued. Humans do not enjoy killing. We do it when we have to, but we do not enjoy it. We would much rather make friends than enemies. So here's my offer. She held up one finger. Option 1. You turn around and go home. You tell the Galactic Council that Earth is now officially a protected territory. Anyone who threatens us in the future will face consequences. In exchange, we will be friendly neighbors. We have medicine that cures diseases you have been fighting for centuries. We have technology that could help your people. We are happy to share. She held up a second finger. Option 2. You stay here and keep fighting. We will defend ourselves. We will win. But a lot of beings will die on both sides. Nobody wants that. Yuna picked up her cup again and took another casual sip. I would strongly recommend option 1. The Vorthans chose option 2, and look how that worked out for them. Nice people now, actually. They make great servers in our restaurants. Very polite. But I do not think you want to end up like them. Admiral Dax looked at his crew. He looked at his display showing weapon systems offline. He looked at the small blue planet that had somehow defeated his entire fleet without firing a single shot. How? He asked. How did you do this? How did your code get into our systems? Yuna smiled. Remember when Captain Sujin put you on hold? While you were listening to that nice music, we were uploading programs to every ship that connected to the communication frequency. Your security protocols are pretty basic, honestly. A human teenager could have broken through them. You planned this from the beginning. We plan everything, Yuna said. That is what humans do. While you were assembling your fleet and making dramatic speeches, we were preparing. We have been preparing since the Vorthan War. Every year, we get better, smarter, more creative. This fleet is the largest in your history, and we stocked it without losing a single life. She leaned forward, her expression becoming serious for the first time. But let me be very clear about something. We could destroy you. Right now, with the push of a button, I could end every life in this fleet. The only reason you are still breathing is because we choose to let you breathe. Remember that. Tell your council. Tell everyone. Yuna leaned back and smiled again. So, Admiral Dax, what will it be? Friends or enemies? Dax looked at the faces of his crew. He saw fear. He saw defeat. He saw the end of everything he had believed about human weakness. We will leave, he said quietly. We will tell the council what you said. Wonderful. Yuna clapped her hands together. I knew you were smart. Give me about 10 minutes to unlock your systems, and you can be on your way. Oh, and one more thing. What? Ambassador Bora Kim needs a bigger chair at the council meetings. Make that happen, okay? The screen went dark. 3 months later, the Galactic Council issued a new classification for Earth. Status: Do not engage. Threat level: Existential. Ambassador Bora Kim received her bigger chair. It was placed at the center of the council chamber, where everyone could see it. When reporters asked Defense Secretary Jia Li how humanity felt about defeating a coalition of 47 species, she simply shrugged. Defeating? We were just going about our day. They showed up uninvited. We asked them to leave. They left. That is not a war. That is just good home security. On a distant world, a Vorthan elder watched the news report. He turned to his companion and nodded slowly. We tried to warn them, he said. Humans are not prey. They never were. They just let the rest of the galaxy believe that until the time was right. Do you think the council understands now? The Vorthan thought about it. He remembered the war 300 years ago. The confidence of the invasion. The horror of the defeat. The long years of servitude that followed. They are beginning to understand, he said. But they do not truly know what humans are capable of. Nobody does. He paused. I hope nobody ever has to find out. Back on Earth, Dr. Yuna Choi returned to her office. She sat down at her desk, finished her coffee, and began working on her next project. After all, the galaxy was a big place, and there was always someone out there who needed to learn that humanity was not to be underestimated.